Where's Kathy? That is the question many who follow Star Wars are beginning to ask after D23, the giant Disney expo where so much was announced that many believe Disney is attempting to save their stock and fight back against Epic Universe, but perhaps went far too far in many cases. But one place they didn't go far was Kathleen Kennedy. She largely was absent where other execs were not. We'll tell you what it means. Hello, folks, and happy days. Hope you're having a great time out there. Welcome back to the Pro Channel, the place where we explain entertainment, keep you ahead of the culture curve. And today we are diving deep into D23, the aftermath thereof, and talking about the Disney Legend Ceremony, where John Williams, who is above the 90 mark, he received a Disney Legend Award. And Lou, you're not going to believe this, but turns out Kathleen Kennedy was at D23 all along. Now, Kathy, unlike all the other studio execs at Disney, did not appear when all of the new stuff was being revealed on Friday evening and Saturday evening. But suddenly, Kathleen Kennedy came on stage just for John Williams. She joined Harrison Ford. This is out of Nerdrific on X. And it says, Kathleen Kennedy and Harrison Ford introduced John Williams' Disney Legends Award. Then a symphony performed his greatest Star Wars and indie hits. Stormtroopers even made an appearance, and this is fantastic stuff.
Even? My God, Stormtroopers made an appearance. Wow.
Right. You've got all this other stuff, some
it's
people
like
in
you
costumes.
got John Williams and Indy, and so, but the three guys in white suits makes a big deal for this.
Right, it made it a big deal.
Okay, okay.
Oh, but the thing here that I want to point out, Lou, and there's lots of Disney stuff we've got to cover during this week, including
Sure.
This Frontierland thing that I think has Disney park fans apoplectic. We'll be talking about it, folks, I promise. But this John Williams thing is interesting because Kathleen Kennedy was not at D23, and we had actually suspected that, you know, she just wasn't at D23 at all. And the other thing is, we were trying to weigh, should we even discuss this? Because you never know. Perhaps she had a medical issue. Perhaps, you know, somebody in her family had a surgery or something. You just never know. And so we were kind of thinking, well, we won't discuss it. And then she showed up on stage, and it became appropriate to say, why was Kathy not with all the rest of the Disney execs presenting their stuff? Kevin Feige came out and did the Marvel thing. Jennifer Lee was there for Disney Animation, and she's no rock star at the moment. You had all of these people coming out and presenting their wares, and Kathleen Kennedy was nowhere to be found. So, Lou, do we make too much of this, or do you think that even at $1,000 a pop to get in, that the audience might not have been welcoming to Miss Kennedy?
Well, see, I have sort of a general take on it and a specific one regarding those items in particular, like Skeleton Crew. But the general one is she doesn't want to go anywhere where she's liable to get booed at this stage.
Sure. Well, how did she arrive at a place where she could get booed at D23? Like,
well,
how is that even possible?
She's supervised the destruction of Indy and the destruction of so much more that there might be a lot of people with a little bit of an axe to grind, figuring she's on her way out anyway. So that's an easy take for us to take on her. And I can imagine them anticipating even the possibility and saying, let's not say we did. Now, specifically on those shows that are coming, you know, on Mandalorian and Skeleton Crew, maybe she just doesn't want to get associated with another stinker, and they know it's a stinker already. Who knows?
Well, that could be. Let's talk about Skeleton Crew for a moment, Lou. Since you brought it up, this is out of Deadline. It's by Anthony D'Alessandro and Katie Campione. It says, Star Wars Skeleton Crew first trailer shows Jude Law as Jedi. Now, folks, we're not going to play the trailer because lately it appears some channels are starting to be struck. And not in a good way.
That's another issue. When you put trailers out, they're supposed to be seen to promote your stuff. When you punish people for showing what you put out there to promote it, you must think it stinks too.
Well, now, Lou, surely they don't think any of their trailers stink. How could you possibly surmise such a thing?
Seen and seen again, no matter where, no matter why. Just on general principles, that's what trailers are supposed to do.
I can't imagine, Lou, that they would think that. I can't imagine that they would think that their trailers are doing them damage. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, wait a minute.
Oh, there's the one.
There's the one.
For something that's supposed to be Snow White, it was pretty damn muddy, wasn't it?
Let me tell you, that is one of the worst trailers I have ever seen, and the fact that that's the best they could pull, and that it's not a bad trailer because it was made poorly. It's a bad trailer because they don't have any kind of content they can use. I mean, the entire look of the film is terrible. Anyway,
yeah,
another video for another.
The only thing that gladdened my heart was recognizing that stair step from the ride.
Yes, yes. Well, Skeleton Crew, it says here, Jude Law came on stage, again, without Kathleen Kennedy at D23, came on stage and said the series harkens to the Amblin kid fantasy films of the 1980s, a la The Goonies. Now, Lou, you probably know that Kathleen has quite the connection with Amblin. And so it's kind of shocking that you send Jude Law out there to say, hey, here's the connection. Where's the person who's the connection? She's not there.
Well, but you know, isn't saying it's in the style of those kind of a different way of saying it's another sequel?
Yes, in some ways,
it's like if you're sitting around saying, what are we going to do about Star Wars? Everything's going wrong. I know, let's do, and saying something original would be a good idea. But instead, I know, let's rip off Steven's stuff from back then.
Right, and we'll put a veneer, we'll put a layer of Star Wars on it and say, yep, good enough, good enough.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic.
I mean, it was this close to commercials for the toys with the kids playing with little miniature Skywalkers and Darth Vaders, wasn't it?
Yes. I said these kids, as they get ready to go on their adventure, they're playing Dungeons and Droids, because it not only looks like a Goonies ripoff, but it's very heavily Stranger Things.
Tomorrowland too, to my eye.
Yeah, well, that's a good point. The Suburbs. It says, I fell in love with Star Wars when I was a 10-year-old boy. This series is told from the perspective of the kids. Skeleton Crew has its 2-episode premiere December 3rd on the Disney streamer. In the clip, young kids are zipping around a Space Academy environment. Well, I would say they're zipping around a suburb. That's what it looked like to me. Suburb, maybe North California, maybe West Montana. I couldn't quite figure exactly out, but suburbs nonetheless. And here is Jude Law at D23. And we'll turn the volume down just a little bit. Every other studio exec was there. He walks out on stage by himself, no Kathleen Kennedy. So, Lou, I'm just
look on the bright side. He didn't sing a song like John Stamos and the rest of those guys did.
That was the strangest Parks panel ever. They waited. Listen, I dropped out from you guys, but
I did too. Right about then,
an hour in, they had announced nothing, and we'll have coverage of that coming up, folks. But at that second hour, they started announcing stuff. Now people are beginning to get very wary because they're realizing that Disney is desperate to stop Epic Universe, but they're also incompetent. And now they're starting to see, based on the concept art, where some of that stuff is going to go, and they're thinking,
when they
I don't think I want
up that was so obviously the art from when they were going to redo Rio del Tiempo. I went, this is new. This is something special for this big important event. This has been sitting in a drawer at Imagineering for what, 5 years, 8 years?
Well, my favorite is as people are realizing, oh, that Cars thing that nobody wants. Wait a minute. You're going to maybe destroy Tom Sawyer Island and Rivers of America so that as I'm walking down Frontierland and around Liberty Square, I'm going to see cartoon cars now racing around a giant pile of concrete. No, thank you.
As I said when it was first brought up, the only tenuous connection is Route 66 because, and the desert landscape.
But even that, I mean, there's really nothing that connects it with 1800s, American West adventuring. No. There's just nothing.
No.
But neither does Tiana, but it doesn't matter. So, Lou, this is a picture of Jon Favreau out and about at the D23 crowd. He's just out there doing impromptu meet and greets. Now, perhaps this was scripted. I'm not sure. You know how these things are. Sometimes things that look very organic were prepared ahead of time, but he's out and about with the crowd. He's out there. He's not afraid. He's, shaking hands. And this is the same guy who was in charge of The Mandalorian Season 3. So one might presume that some folks would say, that wasn't great, sir.
No,
and yet he's not afraid at all.
He's got some goodwill, and he could have walked away and done anything. And the fact that he's coming back to things at Disney means, he's got more money than God, and what the hell?
Well, so let me ask you about that then, Lou. So we've got The Mandalorian and Grogu coming up, and Jon Favreau behind that. Dave Filoni did take the stage instead of Kathleen Kennedy. And so that might be a story worth pursuing, is that Dave Filoni came out And according to those in attendance and the video that we've seen, there was a very muted response to Dave Filoni.
Yeah.
And so that kind of leads me to think that outside of Favreau, who has another shot at this thing with the Mandalorian movie, and maybe this is actually under his control, but outside of him, I don't think that Lucasfilm leadership has the support of even the most diehard pixie dusters out there. What does that mean, Lou, for a studio once it has lost its fan base? What is the corrective measure to be taken?
Not imitating something you think will buy them off, like they seem to be with this suburban Spielberg take. That's for sure. Everybody keeps talking. We've been talking on these various shows. Vash and I went into it in great detail yesterday on the Lou and You show. This idea that, Elon's going to come in and buy it and turn it around, or this person, or Peltz, or anybody. It's not the firing that's the hard part. It's the getting new people who can trust you that's the hard part at this stage of things. And you see Favreau there, and, I know with you and I, the first thing that comes to mind is, what's he going to say when he testifies in Discovery for Gina's trial?
Oh, that's a great point, too. Is
he going to tell the truth, which is, yes, I did tell her her life was about to change, and the only legal, under Hollywood rules, way I could do that is if we talk to her agent first?
That is a fantastic point, Lou, because many of the people who took the stage may be testifying in a court case. So what a strange D23.
As I keep saying, somewhere, I'm absolutely convinced. Now, this is, as you always say, rumor, speculation, projection. I haven't seen it. But somewhere in all of that Discovery, they're going to pull. They didn't suddenly wake up one morning and say, let's do something we've never done before. Let's destroy somebody's life because we don't like their politics. There's got to be a smoking gun email where they say, well, what we do is we do to her what we did to A, B, C, and D over at animation, and what we did to X, Y, and Z at the studio, and what we did to Q, R, and S at Pixar. And suddenly there's going to be 50 people coming out of the woodwork with an axe to grind legally that's justified.
So what do they do then if you cannot settle in that situation, Lou?
There's no settling. There's no settling. There's no set. What are they going to settle? They're going to say, well, if we'd made that series and if it had been just the pilot and not gone any farther, you would have been paid X. Here, take this and go away. We made you scared to death in your house because people were outside threatening to physically harm you. We told you you had to meet with 75 people to be yelled at, and we're going to pay you some. Gina is going to be quoting her benefactor. What? At this point, bribe me with money? Well, go blank yourself, Bob.
Go blank yourself, Bob. In that case, Lou, perhaps that's why we did not see Kathleen Kennedy at D23.
I would say that's another good reason. That's why I brought it up, because, none of these people want to be anywhere. Well, look at them. I know we're not political, but look at the people just pretending they're deaf at airports and other events right now in the political scene, because it's a question of, it used to be, come up with a good bull answer to give people for these hard questions. Now they realize there is no good bull answer. The only answer is not to be there to be asked.
Well, that's very true. And we're also in a phase in Western society where people think that we don't have to ask hard questions or give good answers anymore. We just have to control the narrative. And so the narrative here is being controlled on a much lesser scale than what we're talking about in the political realm.
Hey. I'm looking at that, and now that's twice. The first time was the title card at the end of the Snow White trailer, where they don't put the apostrophe S after Disney.
Yeah, that's been a change that started to happen.
Because John Williams ain't Disney's or anybody else's. He's John Williams. And
that's right.
I thought that was really strange about the Snow White trailer, because everything has always been Disney's this, Disney's that, which is how back when they were the what are they calling it? The Silver, the second age of animation with Beauty and the Beast and Genie and everybody else. That's how they stood out from these cheap knockoff home videos being made in the Far East of what are fairy tales and therefore are public domain. It isn't just The Little Mermaid. It's Disney's apostrophe S, Little Mermaid. But they can't do it with Snow White, apparently, because that was Disney's, and they aren't Disney anymore.
Right. This is definitely not Disney's. This is whatever the Bob Iger company is.
Yeah.
And the Bob Iger company, just like they probably should have hidden Snow White, they were at least smart enough to hide Kathleen Kennedy. And Lou, I tend to think that Kathleen Kennedy's time is coming to a close. I know people have heard that many times.
This business about how she's waiting for a hit, it might be a long wait.
Yeah, I don't see a hit. I think, honestly, Lou, from what we're hearing, I don't think she's heavily involved in the day-to-days at all. I think she's out of orbit.
That harkens back to Gina, because she sure as heck was involved with that.
Well, we will definitely find out. She is.
It's like if they're trying now to have her. Well, I operate at a higher level. I don't get involved in this day-to-day stuff. And meanwhile, her boss, Big Bob, watches everything 5 times before it gets out. That doesn't work. That doesn't gel.
He needed to watch Snow White more, Lou. He needed to watch it more. So we don't have to. What he needed
to do was say, that's the movie that made the company. Let's not touch it, period.
That's a good point. That's what they needed. Good point.
I mean, really, if they had done a great job of it, it would still fall short. It would still have that historical perspective. And so this was a bad decision from day one. It just was.
And folks, we'll find out, are the Star Wars announcements bad ideas? If Jon Favreau is left to his own devices, I have a feeling he's going to do a dandy job with Mandalorian and Grogu, at least salvaging what was a great first 2 seasons. And we'll see how much Luke comes back. Mark Hamill doing his best to damage that character. But Skeleton Crew coming up in the meantime. And, well, we'll see how it goes having Stranger Things, The Goonies, Fraggle Rock, and Captain EO all smushed together in something that looks ramblin' and amblin'. All right, folks, you need to check out LW Ghost on all the member-exclusive content, as well as his appearances over on That Part Place and T3PO with Bash. Lou, why don't you tell the folks out there about the Hollywood Backlot with Lou and
Well, every Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, and I think we're going to stick with it. There was some talk about moving it because it conflicts with football season. But you know what? You can watch the replay too. But when we do it live, it's a different world because
you're bigger than football, Lou.
No, I don't intend to be. I'm different from football. But I know how it's going to come out. We win, unlike football officially anyway. And I have no idea whether they fix things or not. I just know. In the realm of sports, we are closer to football than we are to the Olympics in Paris.
Let's hope.
But what we do is talk about the movie biz and anything else that comes to mind. This week was pretty wide-ranging. We were into stories of the Queen Mary and stories of all kinds of different things, and people seem to like it. And so every Sunday, as I said, at 2 p.m., for about an hour and a half, Vash and I field your questions. Now, I've always said I will not be real specific about stuff I've been involved with because I respect the privacy of the wonderful people that I've worked with. But other than that, pretty much anything goes, even if my answer is, I don't know. And somebody said, well, how can I do this, and this, and make it a hit and get rich in the movie business? And I said, good luck with that, and went on from there because right. I can't give you a magic formula. I can just tell you what I know works in the past or didn't and why.
That's right. If there was a get rich easy method in Hollywood, you would have done that. You did it the long way. Yeah.
I always say I would have been richer and famouser if I had taken more work without being discriminating about the idiots I didn't want to work with. So there's that. But what you said reminds me, remember when we finally were able to buy gold after decades of Americans not being able to buy it? I remember Howard K. Smith? Or no, it was Harry Reasoner, pardon me, great commentator on, I think it was ABC, come to think of it. And he said he did a whole story about it when Nixon raised the ban on buying gold. And at the end, he said, what it boils down to, folks, is this. If it's a get-rich-quick scheme, and I've heard about it, it's too late. Next.
That's perfectly said. Well, folks, you can help us with a get-rich-quick scheme, and that is clicking that like button. Share, subscribe. Click it, stick it to the algorithms. It is the notification bell. Drop a comment right on down below and let us know, why do you think Disney was hiding Kathy? Folks, we're going to see you real soon. We've got a huge pro show coming up tomorrow, and we have drama coming out of the Disney family. The descendants of Walt, they are not happy with the company after a particular reveal. We'll be revealing that to you real soon.
And wait till the Lincoln family chimes in.
All right, folks, keep learning, keep growing. That's a great historical joke. And keep having fun.
Floral, it's time for you to walk the plank.
What? Why?
Because you haven't subscribed to WDW Pro yet. Nor bookmark thatparkplace.com on your web browser to get great articles from great contributors.
What?